I ever use. That keep face neighbors one I do use from time to time, so just restore UV, get things back to how they were. Now there are some snapping options, so I'll come onto the snapping tab, and let's just drag the ones that I've got selected out of the way. So I'm just going to click and drag them over here, but I've got that clip UV coordinates option on, so I'll just undo, turn that off, so drag them over here, and I want to get these guys butted up against these ones here, and I want to do it precisely, so I've got to put on that snapping option. So I'll put it into point snapping, okay, and then when you click in one of the UVs, now depending where you click, you'll get a little cursor. So if you click near the middle, you get a black cursor. If you click near a corner, it will snap to the corner, and then I can drag over and snap there like that. So those UVs are precisely, joined up with those other ones. If I click over here, it snapped to the middle, but I've just got to click down there, snap to the corner. Okay. If I increase the radius, it's on 8. If I put that up to 100, and then come down here, it'll snap a lot closer. Okay, so I don't have to be very far away, and it jumps over. So I'm just sort of dragging left and right with the mouse. I'll just put it back to the default 8. Now the edge snapping one, I'll just turn off point. The edge snapping one, well, just allows you to sort of snap to edges. I generally use the point one only, but if you wanted to, well, you could use the edge one. Okay, the quantize options are basically just snapping options. Regular Cinema 4D has them. In Body Paint, the Move tool one, we're working in percentages, and the percentage is a percentage of whatever the texture map is. So 5% is 5% of the length there of the texture map. I haven't actually applied a material to the object, so if I turn the option on, which it is, and then just sort of move around, you can see it snapping around. If I put it on 25%, it'll move, 25%, a quarter of that distance, so about that much, and just sort of drag it around there like that. And that's it. That's the Body Paint move tool. So I'll just restore things. The next one is the scale tool. Now there are actually two scale tools. There's the regular scale tool, and then there's the non-uniform scale tool. We'll come to that in a moment. So we'll get the regular scale tool, and what I'll actually do is I'll just select all of the UVs, and then I'm just going to click in the 2D view and just sort of drag, and it just scales the UVs up and down like I showed with the move tool. You can do it in the 3D view, not quite so bad using the scale tool. Now where you click, you get a little anchor point. So if I click down here, I get an anchor point, and you can see it scaling from that anchor point. Click over the other side, you see the little black cursor, it's scaling from that point there. Click in the middle, scales out from there, and that's pretty much it. There are some quantize options. Okay, so just there, so scale, I'll just turn off that move one, so it's just a snapping one. Just click and drag, you can see it snapping like that, and that's it. It will work in point mode as well, so just select all. Doesn't have to be all of them. Let's just do it with these ones, shall we? So just sort of click and drag scales like that. Okay, back to like that. Select all, click down a corner, scales just like that. Now let's have a look at this non-uniform one. I'll just turn off the scale quantize option, come back to UV polygon mode. So there's a non-uniform scale one, and this allows you to sort of scale in the two axes by differing amounts. So just get that, okay, non-uniform scale. And then if I click down the corner here, if I drag the mouse left and right, see what happens, like that. Drag up and down like that. Actually quite a handy one at times in body paint. Say you had UV mapped a cylinder and you found your UVs weren't sort of, the aspect ratio wasn't matching, you know, you'd sort of go like that to get the UVs sort of matching your cylinder from the 3D viewport. You would use the non-uniform scale tool. So where you click, you get the sort of cursor like that. That's the anchor point from where you scale outwards from, you know. Click there, it just snaps to a corner, or if you click in the middle of a UV, it snaps to the middle of a UV. So that's the two scale tools. Next one is the rotate tool. So we'll just select that, and obviously that just rotates UVs or points. I just happen to have all of the UVs selected. It doesn't have to be. You can just rotate the ones that you've got selected. Like the scale tool, where you click, you will get a anchor point. So I'll click over here, you get the black anchor point, and it rotates from that point there. You know, click down there, you get the pivot point there. Click in the middle, snaps to the middle of a UV. I can spin around like that, you know, click on a corner. And that's pretty much it. Just toggle back to the live selection tool, the rectangle one. Select a couple of UVs there. Spacebar back to the rotate tool, so you can just sort of rotate those guys, you know, independent. And that's it. Like the other ones, it has a quantize snapping option. Okay, turn it on, and I can sort of rotate in 45-degree amounts. Now the trick that you can do in regular Cinema 4D, where you have the quantize option off, of pressing down the shift key, it doesn't work in body paint. So if you press the shift key, so I've got the quantize option off, if you hold the shift key down, it doesn't sort of put you into quantize mode temporarily. That doesn't work in body paint. If you were working in regular Cinema 4D with regular polygons, if I'd have held down the shift key, it would have actually snapped to those 45-degree amounts. That doesn't work in body paint. Now, I mentioned some modifier keys. Okay, so if I just come back to the live selection tool, so I've got the live selection tool, I can actually get the functionality of the move, scale and rotate tool without actually selecting them. I think I may have mentioned this before, but I'll just cover it again since I'm covering these tools. If I press down the 4 key and just click and drag, I can move my UVs around. So I've still got the live selection tool selected. Release the 4 key, I'm back to regular live selection tool mode. Press the 4 key, move them. This is one I use a lot in body paint because I find it's quite a fast workflow. Select, 4 key, move them. The 5 key temporarily gives me the scale tool, just like that. 6 key gives me the rotate tool. It's the move one I use an awful lot. So release, live selection tool, 4 key, move. Works in UV point mode, so just select some UVs, 4 key, move them, release, live selection, 4 key, move. So very, very handy. So I do encourage you to remember that. So 4 key for the move, 5 key for scale, and 6 key for the rotate tool. Now you can actually sort of go back the other way. So if I restore my UVs like that, fit to screen, I'll come into UV polygon mode and deselect. If I get the move tool, I can sort of actually get the functionality of the live selection tool by going back the other way. If I hold down the 9 key on my keyboard, that temporarily gives me the live selection tool. So you can actually sort of go the other way, release, and then I've got the move tool. If I press the 0 key, so I've still got the move tool selected, 0 key temporarily gives me rectangle selection, okay, like that, release, and then move, okay, 0 key, rectangle selection, release,